where the campfire light meets the dark of night. Mysterious creatures move in the shadows. To some, they remain the subjects of folklore, but those who have encountered them know they are real. So we're here at the Wawa in Yorktown, and we're getting ready to embark out into the haunted woods of Braley Pond, providing we get a campsite because it's first come, first serve.
Right, that's right.
So we're hoping we can get the same site we had last time.
Hopefully.
Pretty cool place.
Yeah,
But if not, if we can't get any campsites there's some other places not too far there.
Right.
We're just going to venture out into the mountains and try to find a place to camp tonight.
Yep.
But right now, let's take a look at some of the signs of the season here at Wawa. And this is the turkey gobbler bowl. I don't see cranberries in there. I thought I had cranberries.
No, I think they're out of cranberries, and they accidentally left it on the menu, on the bowl. But I don't like cranberries, so I'm kind of glad that they're not on there. Jeff, however, was wanting the cranberries and couldn't get them.
That's right. So this is the gobbler. It's a shorty, and the only thing it's missing is the cranberries, but it's got the gravy and the turkey.
And it's steaming.
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
Don't burn yourself. Yep, that's a little hot.
All right, so a couple hours later, here we are at Braley Pond.
Continue on FS 348, 1 for half a mile.
And we're gonna try to show you the road going in here so you can get an idea. It's pretty cool. It's a narrow road. Hopefully no one comes from the other way.
Yeah.
But we're also hoping that we can find a campsite down here because, as I mentioned earlier, this is a first come, first served basis. So it's not always gonna have sites open. But they are primitive sites. There's no running water, so it's very primitive. There's no showers, nothing.
They do have vault toilets, I think is what they call them. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
They're like porta potties.
Yeah, kind of like a porta potty.
Yeah, it's like a toilet in a vault.
Yeah, we are hoping that there's at least one or two other campers here, and that we're not just down here by ourselves in the middle of the woods, haunted woods.
Right.
Because that would be better if there's at least one or two other campers,
With the gas light that just came on.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, it was a little drive in here, so.
Yeah.
A couple of potholes here.
It is a hard-packed dirt road, gravel on top. It's not difficult to navigate. Jeez. People do bring their horse trailers and their campers down in here. It's not just, small vehicles. You can get back in here, but, it's a little bit hard to find. And they don't have all the amenities of the state park, so it's just not quite as appealing to families as a state park would be.
Okay, so we made it, and our site is open.
Yes.
And behind us, it's pitch black. Pitch black back here. Just woods. There's a little stream, which we'll be able to highlight tomorrow, of course. But what's cool is all this light is coming from the Bronco.
It is.
I got to say, it's pretty neat because it's got these lights up here that you can direct. So we can make them point inward toward the cargo. We can make them point outward and kind of give us some light out this way. Pretty cool for starting to set up camp.
It is.
So we're going to get that lantern lit.
Yeah. Because these lights, unfortunately, don't reach all the way back to where we're going to be pitching our tent, where we're going to have our picnic table.
So we'll get that lantern lit, get a fire going.
Yeah, because it's 47 degrees, you said?
47 degrees.
A little chilly.
So, and I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt, which
I
is
know.
pretty cool. Yeah, we got our camp set up. And I'll tell you, I'm still happy with this Coleman lantern. Very nice for places like this where it's just pitch black, and then you get out here, set this thing up, and it illuminates the whole campsite just about. Got our tent set up. The first thing we're gonna do before we get too far into the night is talk about gun safety. You know, what we have here is a 38 special. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put 6 rounds into this, like so. Now, keeping in mind, gun safety is the big word here. So you load the rounds in like that, holster it, now you're safe. That's gun safety.
Well, that's not the extent of it, but I liked how you kept the nose of it pointed down towards the ground while
Absolutely.
you were loading it, right?
Absolutely.
You never point a gun at anybody unless you intend to pull that trigger and shoot
That's
them.
right. Absolutely. Know
And
your
you-
backdrop too.
Yeah, and you never even put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot somebody.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
So if you see Bigfoot coming out of the woods, your first instinct shouldn't be to shoot him. We don't want to shoot Bigfoot.
No.
We want evidence of Bigfoot if we can find him. We'll have to
Yeah.
look into that even if there's Bigfoot up in this area. I mean, it is the perfect area for him.
It
It
really
really is. I
is.
wouldn't be surprised if there are some sightings up here.
Yeah.
But the main thing is haunts that are in these woods.
Right.
But needless to say, if Bigfoot comes out of the woods and he is aggressive, he's coming at you, and your last resort is to shoot him and hopefully the bullets take him down, you still got to know your backdrop.
Right.
Make sure there's no people standing behind Bigfoot when you pull that trigger.
You also need to make sure that if you're trying to kill him, you have something bigger than a 38.
Perhaps.
Because that's not going to do it.
Perhaps. In the story, if, like I said, if you don't know your backdrop, there's someone behind Bigfoot, you pull the trigger, you miss Bigfoot, you hit the person, that story is not going to hold up.
Right.
Well, I was shooting at Bigfoot and I missed and hit this guy. Like, that's not going to hold up in court. All right. So, needless to say, we are protected. And the main thing that we're concerned about, seriously, with carrying guns out here is the human factor. The human
Yes.
factor, you never know. I mean, I don't anticipate there being any dangers out here in these woods from people. But if there are dangers, my first thought would be it would be from a human before it would be from any kind of animal that's out here.
Right.
Or elusive cryptid.
Yes. So in talking about guns, one of the things I want to mention is kind of a challenge that I've had in the past. As a woman, I don't like to carry a tiny little gun. I like to make sure that I'm carrying a gun that is going to do the job when I need it to do the job. And for that reason, I don't carry these little tiny like ladysmiths and things like that. I mean, yeah, that's going to put a hole in somebody, but I like something a little bit more significant, with a little bit of weight behind it. Now, in carrying a gun like that, it actually presents a little bit of a problem. I'm not one of those women that actually wears a belt all the time. So, when you don't have a belt, you can't carry an outside of the waistband holster properly. It kind of sags on you, pulls the sides of your pants down. So I went through lots of different holsters, and short of actually trying to wear like a shoulder holster and looking like either a detective or like a member of the drug cartel, I found something here that I'm actually pretty impressed with, and I feel like I should mention it right now. I have here what's called a Remora brand holster. And these things are great. And the reason being because it's made out of this weird little material that when you have your gun inside here, you take this thing and you can either put it in your pocket, right? But what I like to do is I like to carry it inside the waistband here. So when you put it right inside the waistband, it actually, the stuff actually sticks to your skin. There's some sort of a weird, like a strange, like physics sort of thing that happens between the material and your skin, and it actually keeps it in place quite nicely. You leave it there for a few minutes, your skin starts to kind of not sweat against it, but the moisture between your skin and the holster itself locks that holster into place. And then after a few minutes, it's very easy to pull your gun up out of there. So I just felt like that should be something I should mention. You know, I've seen these holsters where people, like women, are supposed to carry them, you know, like between their breasts and, you know, up underneath your arm and weird stuff. And none of that stuff works. Like, you're not going to carry like a giant chunk of metal like this around, you know, in some of these more private places. So, you know, right inside the waistband, it works anywhere. If you want to carry it in the back of your waistband, which I don't recommend, you can always do that. If you're kind of a cross-draw person, carry it on the opposite side of your waistband. But either way, it stays right tucked into your waistband. You can pull your shirt right down over top of it, and you're all concealed.
So we got a nice fire ring out here at Braley Pond, and we already got the fire going. And you may ask, Jeff, how does one start a fire out in the wilderness? Well, we got a box of firewood from Walmart and some lighter fluid, and you let them soak for about 10 minutes and then light it up, and there you have your fire. That's some survival skills right there.
It's never that easy for me. He makes it sound very easy, but it's never that easy.
Nonetheless, it's nice to have a little heat on a cold night like it is tonight.
Yeah,
or I should say cool, because I'm still wearing a short sleeve shirt here.
It is slightly chilly. So
Okay.
we're sitting here, we're talking about how much we want a Coleman mini bike, right? And we just heard a wood knock off in the distance. I wouldn't say that it was a very loud one, and I wouldn't say that it was a very far away one, but it was just enough of a distinct wood knock that you can't mistake it for anything else. Like, you can't say that that's something on an RV making noise, like somebody moving around their RV. That was definitely a piece of wood, a fairly thin piece of wood, hitting a tree.
Right. And we're not saying it wasn't natural, but we're saying it was definitely a wood knock. So
It was very-
what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to make one back.
Oh, God.
So what I'm going to do is, thanks to Walmart, we got this firewood. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to, can you see me here in the firelight?
Yeah, I
All
can
right.
see him.
Just want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. I'm going
Yeah.
to bang these together and just see if anything responds.
You got 2 logs, right?
2 logs.
Okay. That was loud.
3 seems to be the magic number we've noticed with this. That wasn't quite as loud.
No, but we got campers next door.
Right. One more. It's interesting because you can hear movement, but it's the stream.
It is.
There's a stream right here, and it kind of
Yeah, it does play tricks on your ears.
plays tricks on your ears. Yeah, audio pareidolia.
Yeah. So what we need is an official Slalakum wood knocking stick,
Ah, yes.
right? Wouldn't that be cool?
And I'll tell you, we were down in Yorktown a couple weeks ago reviewing this paranormal investigation app for ghosts. And I found there's a bamboo forest down there. And I found a piece of bamboo that was laying there, and I picked it up and I noticed that it makes a perfect wood knocking sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, a piece of bamboo would be good.
2 bamboo sticks
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, we need to... That was out here.
It sounded like it came from over there.
It bounced off. It's coming from out here.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming from back behind you.
I hope the camera picked that up.
That wasn't as loud as the
No.
last one was.
It was more distant.
It was. I hear something moving out there.
Three possibilities: ghosts, Bigfoot, or something falling from the trees. I'm probably gonna go with number 3.
I'm going with number 3.
Yeah,
too,
absolutely. Perhaps debunked.
Yeah.
So I found this perfect spot to bathe in the stream here, and it's kind of like a little tub area, closed in by this log. Got the ledge right here with my towel on it, and this is one thing that's really cool to find when you're camping, is a place where you can clean off in the morning, refresh. A lot of sites don't have streams that are big enough for this. This one just barely is big enough to sit in and wash off.
Now, despite the fact that it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when you first get up, of course, you always want some eggs and bacon. And we always make good eggs and bacon here at the campsite. Jeff is actually very proficient at being able to scramble up some eggs and cook the bacon in this tiny little pan over this camp stove. And it always turns out good. We have these spices that we use. And the only bad thing about it is it doesn't have pure garlic. It just has garlic salt in it. But we use the spices so it, tastes a little more like it would if you cook it at home. And so let's try here.
And I have to
That's
say,
good.
there's nothing better after a cold bath than some hot breakfast, right? Maybe that needs to be on a shirt. Cold bath, hot breakfast. That's the way to start the day. You can quote me on that. So we finished up our coffee, and nothing like a cup of coffee to start off the day, right?
Yeah.
On the agenda for today, first thing we're going to check out is Braley Pond. Which is cool about it is it's very rustic. Like I said, no running water or anything. But they do have vaulted toilets
Yes.
down by the pond.
We're not sure what that is.
We're about to find out.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to go check out these vaulted toilets. And after that, I think we're going to do a little bit of exploring around and just kind of get the layout a little bit more in depth than we did last time. See where the path goes by our campsite, see what's on the other side of the pond if we can get to it.
Right.
And one thing we want to do before the sun sets is we want to survey the area around the stream, around the campsite for any prints. Because we want to compare what's there this evening to what's there tomorrow morning.
Right.
Here is the vaulted toilets. Let's take a look at what this looks like in here. Oh, hopefully that door closes. Oh, there it is. Yeah, got a little light up in here. I'm not actually gonna see where that goes, but ooh, I don't know. Yikes. Feel like I could sit in the stream again after that.
Yeah,
It was quite an experience.
it was.
And I had to wipe down the seat. I had to use a good portion of the toilet
yeah.
paper to wipe down the seat. And
Yes.
even after I laid down the toilet paper seat protection, after wiping it off, I'm sitting there and I feel something wet. And something seeped through from the seat. I don't know what it was. But that being said, let's check out the pond. Let's see how it's looking today.
Read a magazine?
No, you definitely don't want to linger in there. But here we are coming up to the pond, and it is quite a scenic location here. There's the nice little bridges that come over the stream, and that looks interesting. I don't remember going over that way before.
I think that's just a path that probably goes
Around the pond, perhaps. We'll have to check it out. Let's go look at it front on first. It's got the nice stairs leading up. You can see the little mountains in the background there. So here we are. Isn't this nice, huh?
Yeah.
Here, let it sit for a minute, bud.
Quite a beautiful pond, especially like when you look off toward the other side and you've got those little rocks along the edge there, along the bank, and the mountains in the background.
Very scenic.
Yeah.
Just gonna kind of explore around the outside of the pond here. Bunch of little wild flowers and colors of purple scattered throughout, and yellow. Beautiful time of year to be here, that's for sure. So this is the other bridge, and it looks like it goes up the side of the pond here. And we can kind of see where the water runs out of the pond, coming into this little stream. Right there. And the path continues on up alongside of the pond, giving us kind of a nice overview of the pond through the trees. And just out of the path here, there's a bunch of nice little places to come out and fish. So we're gonna walk down this trail that goes by our campsite here. And as we're walking down this trail, we're just gonna kind of scope it out. For one, we wanna see where it goes. As an open trail like this would be a perfect place for animals to walk down at night or anything else that might be out here in the woods. We're also gonna note as we go any signs of wildlife that has been here, any tracks that we might find.
Or scat.
Right, or scat. And compare that to what's here later on throughout the course of the day, tomorrow morning, to see what's come by our campsite. Over here to the right, got an open area. Probably the perfect field for deer to come out at night and to feed. Also a nice place for a picnic grove. Put some picnic tables and grills back here.
Yeah, it's weird because it's just kind of a clearing here and there's nothing else here.
Right.
Like no trees growing in the center of it or anything. It kind of makes me wonder if it was cleared out for a purpose, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it almost looks like we were wondering, because you have all these little trees that separate that property on the other side and this road going right up here, if this was at one point farmland.
That's right.
Perhaps there was a homestead out here.
And that would kind of explain the clearing out here, because if it was actually farmed land, you know, after you farm it again and again and again, of course, the land is no longer very fertile.
Right.
So not a lot will grow there, and it takes a little while for, you know, of course, nature to take its course and for the land to start getting a little bit more fertile again and start to grow trees and bushes and plants.
And we do have a boot print here. Looks like it's heading back in the direction that we came from. Amongst some tread. We've seen this tread all along the trail.
And this is something big, too. This is like tractor tires.
Yeah, it's like somebody brought a tank back here. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Here we have some more tracks here. Looks like a small animal, maybe? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? That might be a dog.
Dog.
It is the first weekend of hunting season
That's right.
right now. As I was told, I believe bow season. So hunters have been up early in the morning, probably coming back here, bringing their tanks and their dogs.
Thanks.
So So we're coming up to a trailhead here. This is Braley Branch Trail. And we have a decision to make. Do we go right up the Braley Branch Trail, or do we keep seeing where this one goes?
I don't know. I kind of think we keep seeing where this one goes. Keep following it around and see where eventually it leads.
Yeah, because word on the street is that there's Confederate breastworks in these parts.
Yeah.
And that would definitely be something to see. We've got some more tracks here.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this one right here at the end of my water bottle. I'm guessing that's probably a good sized dog.
It is. And there's some older tracks over here that are somewhat washed out. Get around here. And from what I can see, they look like they might have been dog prints.
Mm-hmm.
And then some sort of a bird from the 3 toes that we see here. Wow, look at this. That thing just split in a million pieces. And that was a large tree. Now another thing we gotta watch for is some smaller trees that seem like they've been pushed over.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a symbol of Bigfoot. And any ideas as to why Bigfoot goes around pushing over little trees?
Well, there's a lot of theories about it. One of them is kind of a marking your territory sort of thing. They use that sort of thing to mark their territory, to mark the boundaries of their territory as a signal to other Bigfoot. And other ones think that maybe perhaps they do that. You've seen those, I guess those almost looks like a teepee where they've taken small trees and pushed them together at the top. Some people think that perhaps that was some form of shelter, makeshift shelter that they used. But I'm kind of in the territory marking sort of line of thought myself. I think that might be a very good explanation as to why they would do that.
Yeah, because sometimes you see a bunch of them pushed over that could be like a lean-to.
Yeah, but if it's just one,
if it's just one, yeah, it's not really a shelter of sorts.
Right.
One thing I struggle with is the plural of Bigfoot, because I so want to say big feet.
Yes.
And big foots sounds so wrong.
It does.
So the plural of Bigfoot is a big question.
I think Bigfoot is both singular and plural.
Ah.
I think, Bigfoot stands for a bunch of Bigfoot or just one Bigfoot.
Kind of like shrimp.
Yes, exactly. Just like shrimp. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so we're coming up on a little creek bed here. And on the map, it spoke of Braley Branch.
Yep.
But Braley Branch on the map, it looked like an active creek. This one looks like it's very well dried up.
It is.
You can see the signs of fall as the beautiful yellow leaves are kind of scattered throughout the old creek bed here.
Huh.
Oh, this is a good question. Looks like somebody was up here with a backhoe.
Yeah, it almost does. Not sure for what purpose, but I'd hate to get my truck stuck in that.
Yeah. Looking through the trees here, we got another rather large dried up creek bed as it looks.
Yep.
Let's see if we can get out here to it and check it out. Yeah, this is something. Wow. Look at this. This was a big stream. How does something like this just dry up like that?
I don't know, probably just lack of water for a while. We haven't had a lot of rain lately. It's been sort of dry. But I did notice as you cross like this way, there's a little low spot over there that's still got a little water standing in it. So it must just be like when you get a nice heavy rain, everything kind of flows down this way.
Yeah, unless they rerouted the stream. Because, I mean, this doesn't look just like a little rain path. This looks like it was a full-on creek.
It does. It actually looks like a road,
Yeah.
you know?
We walked up the creek bed a little bit, and sure enough, there's still some water running down here.
Yep.
So maybe it could be, as Linda said, that just hasn't been enough rain lately to keep this thing flowing. Perhaps a very shallow creek. So we've come across this tree that's going over the trail here, and it's pulled up or pushed up or blown up from the roots, and there's quite a few other ones down here too. Now, this one, judging by it, my first guess, and I'll turn it over to Linda in a second here, would be that this wouldn't have anything to do with Bigfoot. I'm not looking at that big one, obviously. I'm looking at this one that's going across the path here. And just because we've got the big one that's going down across the top of it, another one that's going down here, it seems to me like perhaps a storm swept through here and hit down in this spot particularly hard. Possibly even a tornado, as tornadoes do hit down in random spots in the woods points.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, it is hard to tell. And the reason I say that is because, you know, any tree that is small enough for a Bigfoot to push over is most likely going to be some sort of pine or even a poplar. They don't have very deep roots. The roots don't go real far into the ground, so they're actually easy to uproot. And normally when you would see a tree that has fallen over and it's actually pulled the roots and a chunk of the ground up with it like this, you know, it would be a pine or a poplar of some sort. But given that there's 2 or 3 trees here that are fairly small, they're falling in the same direction. I would say that your assessment of it is probably correct. This was probably just a storm. It may be that the ground over there is particularly soft, that it's a little bit softer, perhaps because of the creek bed that actually lies over there that we were just walking on. So the ground may stay a little more saturated in that area, which makes it even harder for trees to stay standing against a good stiff wind. But I'm willing to bet that maybe it was just, you know, a good strong wind from a storm that came through here. Of course, you've got all of this mess where it looks like they've purposely felled a tree down here too. There's quite a few of these along the path. They do this because of tree blight. You know, there's always some sort of little bugs and things that infest the trees. And if you don't cut the tree down and get rid of it, then it just continues to pass from tree to tree to tree in the area. And before you know it, you know, everything looks like this. But these trees in particular, I'd say, yeah, this is probably just the work of nature as opposed to, you know, an animal or a creature going around pushing trees down.
So another thing to highlight is off to the left of the path as we were coming up here, there is a depression in the land.
Kind of a horseshoe-shaped depression.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We don't know if this is man-made. It almost looks like it is.
Yeah.
And with the rumors of Confederate breastworks up here in the woods, this could perhaps be from the Civil War.
Yeah. It's really hard to tell, but we like to pay attention to, I guess, the natural formations in the land and try to see, because there was so much activity during the Civil War and even the Revolutionary War in the state of Virginia that, you know, you see things like this sitting out in the woods and people just kind of take it for granted. They don't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but you never know. I mean, this could be some spot where a bunch of Confederate soldiers were sitting down here defending themselves and fighting, you know, and who knows?
It is possible.
Lost to history.
What stands out is that big tree in the middle of it there.
Yeah.
That tree probably is newer.
Yeah.
It's probably not been there since the Civil War. It doesn't look like it's a 155-year-old tree.
No.
Math might be a little off there, but nonetheless.
Those grow pretty quick.
Yeah.
A little path that leads through here.
Yeah. Another little path that veers off to the left here.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a clearing beyond it. Kind of want to take a look and see what's over there. And it looks like the tractor actually went back this way.
Could have been a four-wheeler.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah, probably four-wheeler running through here. Maybe even hunters. It warms up when you come out of the trees.
It does. It warms up so much
It does.
when you come out of the woods. But here we are, another little clearing.
This would be a good place to camp.
This would be. Yeah, come pitch a tent back here.
Yeah,
That'd be quite a place.
it would be.
At the end of the trail here, came to another clearing. Perhaps the end of the trail.
That'd be the end of the trail for us. We probably ought to turn around. We've come a good little ways.
That's right.
So I found these here on this tree, kind of this tree just sitting here growing in the middle of the clearing, and we're going to take it back to the camp and cut it open. It's either going to be like a crab apple or maybe some sort of nut, you know, down inside there.
The latter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
yes.
kind of what I'm thinking is more of a nut because of the way that it smells. It's got a weird smell to it. It's a very appealing smell, but it's like a very fresh and lemony is what I can say. Very pungent smell to it. But yeah, kind of interesting. I'd like to see what is down inside here.
Yeah, we can go ahead and probably eat it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm sure we probably could eat it, but judging from the smell, it's not going to taste very good. So what we have here is a nice craftsman knife. Kind of a good little trail knife. You know, it's only got about a 4-inch blade here. It looks like it's probably full tang, like the rubbery feeling stuff around the outside of it wraps all the way around the blade. But we're going to get it a little bit juicy and messy here, I'm guessing, when we cut this thing open. It is very soft. It's not quite as soft as a peach. More the consistency of maybe a hard avocado.
I know squirrels would store these up. These are one things because we used to have one of these trees near my house, and the squirrels would always collect them. You'd find them, you know, you'd find a bunch of them for some reason, like buried at the base of a tree.
Yep.
That one looks like it's got some worms in it, does it? Yeah, look at those.
There's little worms down in there.
Ooh.
The wormies like to nuts too.
I wouldn't eat that one.
No, I'm not eating any of them.
But yeah, you're gonna find a hard core inside there for sure.
But what's funny is it's not so hard that you can't cut it. Like it's chipping away here. You know what I mean? Maybe that's because it's rotten a little bit from the animals. But I mean, down in there once you get down into it, it's definitely a...
Yeah, if I recall right, it's reminiscent of a peach core.
Yeah.
The core of a peach. And
what
I
it
think
seems like.
inside that hard shell is where the nut is, because I would always find them cracked open.
Let's take a look at this one. Oh, it's got a black spot too.
Yeah. So we're not eating walnuts for lunch.
I'm not sure they're even really ready at this point anyways. You know, they look like they might be in a little bit of too much of a green stage or something. But
I believe I could be wrong, but I believe they're kind of like chestnuts. Mm-hmm. They're just coming into bloom at this time and around October.
Right, fall and
around October, is when you're ready to pick them and eat them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm wondering here, because I'm guessing that the worms get in there and probably eat the fruit and don't eat the nut, you know?
I'm not even 100% sure you can eat walnuts, but...
Well, yeah, we eat walnuts all the time.
Do we?
Yeah, everybody eats walnuts. Some people are, allergic to them and can't eat them, but like, you know, yeah. I like a good walnut. They come in the trail mix that I eat all the time.
Oh, okay.
That Walmart brand,
Yeah.
omega-3. Yeah, it's got some good walnuts down inside there, but yeah, we're definitely not eating these. And, you know, that gives a good point here. When you're out in the wild, you don't want to go around just eating any old thing. There's a lot of berries and things that kind of look like stuff that we would eat. And just because it looks like a cherry doesn't make it a cherry. And even some of the leaves and things are very similar between species of plants. So even if you think you have identified something correctly, you may be wrong. And you don't want to take a chance because you could eat something and it be poisonous. Now, that being said, if you're out, you know, stuck in the wilds and you're starving to death and you're lost, the best thing to do is actually take one little berry and eat it and then see what happens. And wait a good long while, like, you know, at least 12 hours. If you don't get sick from it, next time eat 2 berries. And so you're building up kind of your body's response to it. And then at any point, if you start to get sick from it, you have diarrhea or you start to throw up, of course, you have to stop eating it immediately. You also want to pay attention to what the bears eat. From what I've heard, that their digestive systems are pretty good. If you watch a bear eating a berry, a lot of times that you could eat that same berry and it won't actually make you sick. Yeah, you have to be very careful, and there's always insects. You know, you can always eat an insect. I don't think I've ever heard of an insect being poisonous as far as eating it. Perhaps there are some, but that's like, you know, last resort. And of course, snakes. You can always eat snakes and stuff, you know.
So there you have it. If you're out in the wilderness, hang out and watch a bear eat.
Yeah.
If he doesn't kill you,
if he doesn't eat you.
by day 7, if you're not dead of starvation, you can at least have 7 berries.
Right, exactly.
So one place that we love to come to whenever we come up to Braley Pond, and this is only our 2nd time up here, so it's not like it's been a tradition,
Right.
but it's starting to be one,
It is
the Mountain View General Store.
Yeah, we like this place.
Awesome place.
It
They have
is.
some cool things for sale in
Yeah,
there.
they really do.
Great food
Yep.
and great people. Let's go check it out.
So they have an outdoor gift set here. Tools included. Comes with a drop point blade, serrated
Oh, that's
blade,
nice.
can opener, bottle opener, slotted screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, scissors, nail file, fish scaler, hook remover, all, a corkscrew, carabiner clip, compass, and key ring.
Cool.
All of that in this tiny little box.
Nice.
Yeah.
A lot of outdoor stuff here too,
Yeah.
which is cool. Some fishing lures and everything. So here's my favorite part. It's the gift shop.
Yeah.
We just ordered some food. Got a barbecue sandwich coming and some chicken wings.
Yeah.
And look at all the cool things that they have here. Love all the fall stuff. Look at this truck candle.
Oh, yeah.
And look at that. Welcome to our den.
That's nice.
Look at these hats they got here. Some pretty cool hats. Protect the Second Amendment, 1791. I like that one. God is good all the time. Some pretty cool hats.
Yeah, they do have some nice ones.
God, guns, and guts.
Yep.
Let's keep all 3. And got some Trump 2020 hats. I really like this plate.
Yeah, it looks like it was hand painted.
Yeah, it does. What's it made out of? Oh, it's like wooden.
Oh.
That's cool. So what's cool is they got a little eatery in there, as we mentioned. And let's unveil. What did you get here?
I got a bacon cheeseburger. And look at all the bacon
man.
on this thing.
Look at that. That is bacon
Yep.
cheeseburger for
I know,
sure.
and it looks like real good bacon too.
Yeah, it almost makes me think of a burger with just bacon.
I know.
Yeah, that'd be something.
Yeah.
Well, I got some pickled eggs here because I love pickled eggs, and they look like they're individually packaged, probably homemade, right? I got the barbecue sandwich. Ooh, and there it is. All right, barbecue sandwich, and what we're gonna do is put a little Texas Pete on here, like this. And just kind of cover it with some hot sauce. There we go. And I got some spicy chicken wings. Look at those
Potato
wings.
wedges are in there too.
And the potato wedges, so there they are. So
wow.
I am eager
Yeah.
to dig in here. Let's start with a little bite of this barbecue sandwich here if we could. That's a good sandwich. Should've got some napkins. All right, so we've come back to the campsite. We got a nice fire going here.
Yes, we do.
And we were listening to some sounds out in the woods earlier with the parabolic dish.
Yes.
And we're going to go ahead and apply that again in a few here. But the question came about, Linda, I'd like to ask you. For starters, there was a fairly recent Bigfoot sighting up here. And they've come to believe that there's actually a family of, struggling with the plural, Bigfoots up here in the area.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Yes.
When are these sightings typically not just here, but across the board. When are Bigfoot sightings most prevalent?
You mean time of the year?
The time of the year.
I would have to say that it seems like the majority of Bigfoot sightings happen between like the spring and the fall. I don't know what exactly happens. I think maybe at some point in the year, they might go up high into the mountains, like way up into the mountains. They might do what we do and what other animals do is kind of tend to stock up on food a little bit for the winter in case it's really bad. And that way they have food when they need it. And then in the springtime and in the summer and fall, they would come down out of the mountains and they would probably collect food, come out and just kind of frolic in the forest and whatnot,
Right, they
And,
dance around.
Yeah, and dance around and stuff, yeah. And maybe...
You don't think they hibernate?
I don't think they hibernate, no, because I think they're too much like people to hibernate. The great apes don't hibernate, and neither do people. And
I've
this
known some people to
supposedly-
hibernate.
I could hibernate. I really could. Like I could sleep my entire life away if you let me. But no, I mean they're too much like people and like great apes to be able to hibernate. They would be holed up in their little caves with a nice hot fire going, keeping them warm throughout the winter, and probably eating off the stores of food that they've stored up for that winter. And then in the spring, I would think that they would come down, like I say, frolic and hang out, swim in the ponds and stuff. And then I think maybe like by fall, they would probably be collecting food again. So you'd find them foraging around, trying to maybe grab some fish, and they might even smoke their own fish. They might have figured out how to do that. So I think
It's better than the things people are smoking in the city.
right, yeah. That's exactly right.
So you would say probably the majority of the sightings are in spring and fall.
From what I've seen, they seem to be in the spring and in the fall.
Why not
Although there
summer?
have been, well, I was going to say there have been quite a few in the summer. So I think maybe like between the spring and the fall is the most active time of year. Not that they don't come out in the winter, because people have said that they've seen Bigfoot tracks in the snow and whatnot, but it just doesn't seem as common. I mean, you think about they're barefoot. They're not walking around with boots and stuff, so...
Right, but so are wolves.
Right.
And they come out in the snow.
Yeah, but I think wolves, I don't know, maybe they've built up maybe they just don't have nerves
Yeah.
in the pads of their paws and stuff.
But Bigfoot has a big foot with big nerves.
Right, I would think so.
Perhaps.
Because, I think humans and apes both have nerves in the pads of their feet, so... Be a little bit cold on their Bigfoot tootsies.
So, one of our traditions on our Bigfoot expeditions is to play a little music and to see if Bigfoot comes wandering out of the darkness out of curiosity. Now, mind you, some people will be like, hey, Bigfoot does not like music. Other people, according to reports, have sat around a campfire and played some music, not looking for Bigfoot, and he kind of poked his head out of the woods to see what was going on. Maybe out of curiosity, maybe he likes music. The thing is, we really don't know. No one really knows if Bigfoot likes music or not, but it's something we experiment with to see if he does poke his head out of the woods. So here we go. Nothing like some harmonica music by the campfire. Don't hear any big feet tapping.
No.
Try a little faster. Maybe he likes a little more upbeat. If that worked, that'd be amazing. I'd be like the Pied Piper of cryptozoology. Just come out in the woods and start playing the harmonic, and all these Bigfoots are coming out behind me, flat-footing. But it's worth a try.
Now, I would assume that Bigfoot, if it does have some sort of a voice, if it's able to speak in any way, shape, or form, it's probably not a singer. I can't imagine that they would create a lot of music by themselves unless it was a very primitive form of music.
Right.
What would be your thought on that?
I would have to agree. I don't think Bigfoot communicates vocally. And the only basis I have for that is just from reports. I mean, we hear him hooping and howling and yelling, at least reportedly. And of course, yeah, there are farmers that do that. You know, they hoop and holler and yell to communicate across the farm and stuff. But I feel like if Bigfoot did have the vocal ability to talk, he may be more apt to communicate with some of us. Because he, perhaps, if he is out in the woods around some of our campfires, and he can hear, you know, it's not always bad people out in the woods hunting Bigfoot. If he can hear that there's some people that sound like they're down to earth, maybe people like us, he may be willing to come out because he understands what we're saying. And he says, hey, I'm Jake, and I just wanted to sit down by your campfire and tell you that you have nothing to
Jake.
worry about. Could you please keep my secret and not produce this video? And we'd probably be like, yeah, no problem. We'll, you know, we'll scratch the video, or at least we'll edit this part out and not tell anybody that you're up here. So I think if he had the ability to communicate verbally, he probably would. Likewise, I think there would be more reports of voices out in the woods.
You have seen or heard those recordings. I played the recordings for you that sounded like the Tasmanian devil out in the woods.
Right.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Those are very famous recordings of what they thought was Bigfoot speaking
Right.
to each other.
Right. I mean, I'm sure they have a way to communicate with each other, but I
Right.
don't think it's the same means like English language or any kind of language that's comprehensible by humans.
Right.
So there's that language barrier there. I don't think we can understand them fully, and I don't think they can understand us. And if you think about some of the things that they reportedly do, like the rocks that they'll pile up for place markers, and not the ones that people place up when they're hiking, but rocks that they'll put in certain areas and trees that they'll bend, and certain things that they'll do, like peeing in a circle around somebody to protect them, and other animals know to stay away from that. These are, I wouldn't say primitive, but they're very in tune with the earth and with their surroundings. And their communication is probably something that's been around for a long time. And perhaps ancient people may have been able to understand the way they communicate and the symbolism that has never changed with them, but with the human culture, it has been lost over time. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's an ancient form of communication that they're using.
Could be.
Okay, so right now we're looking into the woods because there's some interesting possible anomalies that are coming up on the pictures here.
I don't see anything that could be making that shape. Maybe it's like light hitting one of those little small kind of trees, the little small saplings that are sitting there.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what it is. But I really still don't see anything that could look like that, like boomerang-shaped translucent thing that we're seeing in the picture.
I mean, could it be the shadow of a branch? I see.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just odd looking because it looks like whatever it is has kind of a pointed head. You know what I mean?
Right. Go over this way a little bit with the light. Just kind of scan around the outside here. I don't see anything.
I don't see anything either.
What we're going to do here is we're going to pop up these pictures. And Linda, you just kind of show what you see in these pictures, if you would.
Okay, so what I did is just started taking some random pictures into the woods, and when I zoomed in, I noticed something that looked a little bit strange. You see these two trees right here, one quite a bit behind the other one. But when I zoomed in, I noticed this thing that looked like kind of a shape back in here, right? And you can see where a little bit of light is actually hitting the edge of this thing. That looks like it could possibly be a shoulder. And that's the first thing that I noticed, that it looked a little odd because it just didn't look like a tree, or like even like a small tree or a log or something, like a stump sticking out of the ground. So then you have the next picture here, and the next picture, I believe this one right here, has kind of the same thing in it, right? Has the same sort of shape right there. But then there's also this thing over here that very well could be a shadow because it looks a little bit translucent, kind of like almost a boomerang shaped thing out here. So when you keep going, this thing keeps appearing in all of these pictures. And yet when we shine our light down there, we really can't see anything down there that actually looks like it would make this shape.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. But yeah, again, you have this shape right here. Now I'm willing to bet that it's probably just some play of light and shadow that we're experiencing here, because we took all these pictures in a row and it's appearing in every single one of them. I would think that if it was something like, you know, a Bigfoot or any other creature for that matter, whatever it was would probably move. It would be in a different position in each of these pictures. But as you can see, when you keep going, you know, these things, no matter what it is, it's still here. Still there. Right there. So, not exactly sure what that is, but certainly something strange. And we're going to continue to take pictures throughout the time that we're sitting here, because you never know what could pop up.
That's right. There's some interesting sounds over this way, is there
really
not?
are. Could be something down by the creek.
Just kind of go over here and scan a little bit. Now, what I'm really not too excited about is where Linda's picking up these odd pictures. I gotta go over there and poop. I mean, that's my tree right there. And that's where the strange anomaly, possible anomaly, keeps appearing.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. You get your flashlight again. We're hearing some.
Almost like a high-pitched hum.
Can we get a little away from the fire?
Is that what we're hearing?
You don't hear that? Come over here.
What is that?
I don't know. I've never heard anything like it.
You don't think it's a hound dog off in the distance, maybe with the noise mixed with something else? Like I hear the ooh, kind of low pitched, but then there's something high pitched as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
That's so strange.
It doesn't sound like a car.
No, it's definitely not a car.
And it doesn't really sound like a piece of machinery.
No, it's folk or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I don't hear it anymore, at least not through this. And I don't hear it with the naked ear either. I was going to say it could be possible that I'm not hearing it as well through this is because it's really amplifying. There's a lot of night sounds out there right now, crickets and katydids. It's really amplifying that sound. And I thought perhaps that was drowning it out through this, but even with the naked ear, it seems to have stopped. Do you hear it?
Mm-mm. Seriously?
I don't know. Let me see your flashlight.
You're not going to spot any cows with the flashlight.
No, but I'm at least going to see where I'm going. We're wondering if the sound we hear is cows.
So we've been hearing this noise out there. We know it's the cows. Not too far away from here, there's a huge amount of cows. I mean, it's like a significant number of cows out in this farmer's field. They look like black Angus, and we look at them every time we pass here. It's kind of the entrance to Braley Pond. Right off to the left-hand side, there's this farmer's field out there. So we know that in the direction of that there's this large number of cows, and there's, for some reason, they're actually riled up right now. They're a little bit disturbed by something, because of all the time that we've spent out here. We've never heard those cows before, and we didn't even realize we could hear the cows from here. But for the past maybe 5 minutes, they've just been going off, just mooing like crazy. And what that makes us think is that maybe there's something out there that's disturbing them. Something that is maybe trying to get to them, a coyote, or perhaps a Bigfoot, because we've heard many reports where a Bigfoot actually goes in and steals livestock from farmers, or goes out and hunts a deer. So we know that they're omnivores. We know that they eat both, plants and vegetation, but they also eat meat. And perhaps they're trying to get them a real good steak right now, because Angus is some good stuff.
It is.
It
but
is.
My thing is, like, after hearing these cows, what happens to disturb cows?
Yes.
Aliens.
That's true.
So
Aliens
there's a good
bother
possibility
cows.
that we're dealing with some aliens down there.
It
Right
could
now they're
be.
beaming up some of the cows, and the other
Yep.
ones are getting disturbed.
Yep.
Or maybe the farmer's herding them into the barn for the night.
I don't think they usually make noise when the farmer herds them in.
Really?
What they do is the farmer goes out and he rings a little bell, or he makes a noise. He's got the cows somewhat trained.
And they all come
And
running
they
up
all
in the
just
barn.
come running up into the barn. Not even running, they just walk up into the barn. But they know when it's feeding time, and feeding time is not usually this late at night.
So
either.
something is disturbing them.
Something's disturbing. That sounds to me, from what I know of farming and of livestock, that's something disturbing them. It's not actually just the farmer calling them in. That's something more, something dangerous.
So along our hike earlier today, we picked up this good-sized wood knocking stick.
Yeah, that is a good size.
I think it's about time to throw out some wood knocks and see if anything responds. So here we go. Kind of a slug on there. Yep, there he is.
Maybe just one, because it's going to be loud.
All right, one.
That knocked the leaves off the tree up here.
Bringing in fall a little early. Again.
One more time.
That wasn't very loud. No response.
Not yet.
And we'll keep that there in case we hear anything later on. We'll come back and try to respond. The thing is with wood knocks, we don't know what that's saying.
Right.
Is it saying I'm here?
It's
Hey,
saying,
I'm over here? Or is it saying, hey, get away? Or is it saying, come on?
or is it saying, hey, I'm in heat?
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, so it could be a number of things. So hopefully we're not telling Bigfoot that or waging war or anything crazy.
Right.
But, hey, it's all in the name of science. So it's dinner time here at about 12 a.m. And what better to perhaps lure Bigfoot out of the forest than some hot dogs grilling over the fire, wouldn't you say?
No. Because I seriously think that bacon would probably do a lot better.
Oh yeah, bacon would bring anything
Like
out
the
of the woods.
smell of bacon cooking, nobody can resist that.
That's right. That's right, but
Maybe
also,
a good bread.
who can resist a hot dog, though?
I know. That's true.
You know?
There's not a lot of smell that comes off of a hot dog, though. You really, honestly, there's not a lot of... They taste really good, like, once they're over the fire.
That's true, but
But-
Bigfoot has a sensitive nose.
He does. He would have more of a sensitive nose than we would. And those cows are still going
The cows
on.
are still going. It's been about an hour.
I wonder what they're doing. Maybe they're
I don't
hungry and
know.
nobody's feeding them. You think?
I don't know what's going on there.
I could feel bad. Maybe we ought to take them our hot dogs.
Wouldn't that be like making them cannibals?
No.
I mean, these are all beef hot dogs.
Oh, are they? Then I guess it would be.
It's been about 2 hours, and the cows literally just stopped. But now there's another noise that we're hearing out here. Hear that?
Mm-hmm. High-pitched.
Hoping the camera's picking it up. One thing we like to do
That's weird.
it's almost like melodic.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go towards the edge of the campsite here and see if we can get a better sound of it, maybe away from the fire. Sounds more distant here.
It does.
Let's try the whoop.
It was so freaking loud.
You hear that?
I think that was a cow.
We might have woken the cows.
It might have been.
Maybe we woke the cows.
Maybe. But if we woke the cows, is it because they're used to that sound? Is it because they actually hear that sound out in nature and it kind of like awakens them?
It lets them know that something's about to come in their field and eat one of
Right.
them. Yeah, maybe. That sound, though. So I go, "Woo." It's like that.
Is it?
How would you describe it? There's that cow again.
Yeah, see, it's funny because there's a couple sounds intermixed here.
Yeah.
Like I can The sound of the cows.
Right, you can hear that for sure.
Yeah, but then there's something else over top
It's like
of
a
it every so
high
often.
pitched, but it's like almost like a melody.
Right.
And it's interesting because at this time of night, a
There's
little after
nobody
2
out
in the
here.
morning, no, there's nobody, but also the sounds of the night have really quieted down.
Yeah.
It's interesting how from about 8 to midnight, they're pick up and they're loud. You can hear the crickets, everything.
Yep. But after midnight, everything quiets down.
Yeah. So it's almost 5 o'clock in the morning, and our campfire is not much more than some smoldering embers. Interesting thing, the cows have just quieted down. Just until a couple minutes ago, they were going pretty hard and heavy down there. A few sounds throughout the woods, but nothing that is definitely a creature that's out there of a paranormal nature. Rustling in the leaves here and there, and the sound of a falling leaf hitting the ground. But this is the point where we're going to call it a night. And tomorrow morning we'll get up and kind of scout around the area just to see if there's any kind of tracks that were left from anything that might have been lurking out there. So once again, cold bath, hot breakfast. We've got our coffee here. And a little crackling fire to kind of start off the day. But unfortunately, today is the day we're packing up and heading out. Of course, before we do, we're going to do a little recon of the area just to see if there's any new tracks. There were some interesting sounds out in the woods last night, would you say?
There were. Yeah, there was some real strange noises, just howls and, like weird knocks, and it sounded like wood knocks. Maybe not like extreme wood knocks, like large, loud wood knocks, but kind of quieter ones, maybe off in the distance. And I don't know, it was just a strange thing to sit here and hear all those noises.
It was. There was some high-pitched noise that we heard. It was picked up on the audio from the camera. I reviewed it.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to that section, you got to turn it up and listen closely in between. You can hear that high-pitched noise.
Yeah.
But then shortly after that, the cows started up.
Oh, yeah.
Those cows were going till about 5 in the morning. I thought they had stopped when we went to bed, but
Yeah.
as I laid there falling asleep, I heard them going again. So all night.
Yeah, strange.
It was interesting. And then Linda saw something a little odd this morning with the person that was coming down the path that seemed to be somewhat in distress, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, there was a woman that was coming from the trails. And the trail, the little outlet for the trail, comes out to a gate right here at this road. And so I could see her coming down the trail, but she was moving very fast. I mean, she wasn't running, but if she was moving any faster, she would have been running. And she had a backpack on, and she had like olive green pants and what looked like a tan shirt. My first thought was maybe like an employee from the forestry service or something, just somebody out here monitoring the area. But as I watched her moving quickly down the path, she turned and looked at me and then turned right back and just continued on. She had something in her right hand that resembled a small gun. And when she stopped at the end of the gate over there, she stopped for a second and looked at whatever it was in her hand and messed with it for a second and then continued on. And she was moving fast enough and looking every so often, she'd turn and look back down the trail. And she was moving fast enough to where it looked to me like she was trying to get away from something. Like she had seen something that bothered her, or that she just seemed like she was not in a comfortable state of mind by any means. So it was a little bit odd.
Any gunshots prior to that?
No, I mean, there were a couple of really, really loud noises this morning, like gunshots.
Really?
Yeah, and it was, but I would doze back off,
Right.
you know, for a few minutes. And so my concept of the time passage between that
kind of blurry.
really super loud noise.
Right.
Yeah, I thought somebody was out here shooting.
I
That's
wonder
what it sounded like.
what if she killed somebody down there?
She could have.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Or what if she encountered a Bigfoot down there and she shot at him and it didn't do anything?
Didn't do anything. Yeah.
And she
got
took
the
off
hell out of
running.
there.
Or maybe she shot a Bigfoot because they talk about a Bigfoot family. Maybe she
Yeah.
shot one and the other one came out to see what was going on and
Yeah,
she took off.
She took off. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, that's purely speculation, but
yeah,
it's
maybe a little
interesting to
far-fetched.
it's interesting to think like gunshots. Okay. Woman running out with a gun and looking at the gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't typically stop and look at you might make sure it's loaded or on safe but
I was thinking
why
she was putting the safety on.
why she
something like
yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah, so interesting. Interesting.
it
What's
was
going
very
on
fun.
down that path?
I don't know. I would like to go down there, but unfortunately, I don't think we have the time today to go down there. And
Right.
another couple went down just about maybe 20 minutes ago. So
So if we hear any screams,
yeah, then we'll
Right.
know what something's definitely going on down that path.
plus it's like a 1.5 mile walk down there.
It is. It's a
So-
pretty good long walk.
Yeah, in the interest of time, but we will scout out the area, drink some coffee that's made on the percolator on the
Murky
Coleman
coffee.
stove, and I will say percolator coffee is the best.
Yeah, and if you comment, if you notice this cup, we're not exactly sure what happened to that last night, but look at how dirty that
I
is.
think it's from when I heated up my coffee, because I remember seeing it black tarnished like this and wiping it off last night.
Did you heat it up on the fire?
Yeah,
Oh, did you?
so that's probably what it's from.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're drinking out of it.
So we're just scouting out this trail, just looking for any tracks. And the land here, it's kind of hard packed. It's not really conducive, but this main trail, I believe from the map, it was about 1.5 mile loop. And this is the one we walked up. If we just go up here a short ways, we'll find some muddy areas where there might be some tracks if anything came down here. I do have to say, as we're walking up this trail, there was the lady that came down the trail.
Yes.
Okay, then there was a couple that came down the trail. And then there was another couple that went up the trail.
Yeah.
So-
Hasn't come back yet.
We're keeping that in mind. And of course, the moment I try to go back against the tree, one of the couples comes walking down the trail. It never fails. You can be in the most secluded place, but as soon as nature calls,
Somebody appears.
somebody pops out of the woodwork, and find myself scurrying around a tree to the other side. Here's something. What we're looking at here, this looks like it's got tread on it. Looks like a boot hit there. So nothing of an animal. If we go up a little further here,
There's another one.
looks like another one. Yeah. Once again, that's this one's, yeah, no, I can see the boot outline. If you look, you can see it going around here, the
Yeah.
shape of the boot. So someone just stepped sideways for some reason.
She was turning around, looking back down the trail. That's why her boot went sideways.
Yeah, that's probably from that lady. Now the question is, what was down this trail?
Yeah.
So we walked down the trail a little ways, nothing substantial. This morning I went down to the creek twice, did the dishes. Now the thing with this creek, the banks of it are all rocky, so it's not really conducive to tracks.
Right.
And the side up to our campsite is kind of a ledge. Didn't see anything that would have resembled anything coming up that ledge. But the stream is long, so there's several places where something could come to get a drink of water at night and such. But in the immediate area of our campsite, there's no signs that anything paranormal was out here by any means.
Yeah, especially not in the campsite because you left your Utz pretzels sitting underneath the chair, and they were not even disturbed.
Right, and
So-
if it was Bigfoot, that would have been the first thing he would have gone
Yeah,
for.
he'd have gone for a pretzel.
Yeah. And they were there. So it's interesting. One thing that's interesting is the lack of wildlife up here. I saw a squirrel.
Right.
I saw a frog. I saw some little critter in the stream that I couldn't identify. It wasn't exactly a tadpole. It didn't look like a crawdad.
Yeah.
But now this is interesting. This was yesterday. And I'm not saying this is paranormal, but you see a track like this, and it's from this rock. This rock was removed and put right at the bottom of that path. So that could have just been somebody that was looking for bait for fishing.
How heavy is it?
I don't know. If you hold that, I can go ahead and lift it up.
I'm sure it's probably...
Oh yeah, that's a good size rock, but I'm not gonna put it back in there because there's a snail there, but I'll put it to the side of the trail here. It's a good size rock. Now Bigfoot's been known to throw rocks, but he didn't throw that one very far if he threw that one. So.
Definitely not. So just the motivation behind moving that rock is kind of curious, because I'm sitting here wondering why somebody would move the rock. You say looking for bait, right?
Right, looking for like night crawlers.
Yeah, and that's the only logical explanation, but at the same time, most of the time when people come down here to fish, they come down here already with bait in hand. You know, there's trout in the waters, they come with lures, they come with whatever they need in their tackle box. So why would somebody go up the trail here, far away from the pond, and look under this one rock for night crawlers? They would be looking around more likely the edge of the pond down there.
That's probably true.
So just the fact that somebody picked up that rock and trying to figure out why they would do that.
Unless they were camping here and gathering bait to go down to the pond.
Maybe.
I mean, that's possible, because we used to go out and we wouldn't always have bait with us. We'd look for it.
But wouldn't we have found other upturned rocks?
Probably.
Other places where there would have been rocks misplaced, or where it looked like somebody dug into the ground a little bit.
That's
So, I don't
interesting.
know.
It is interesting.
It is.
But a wonderful weekend here. Beautiful weather. It got nice and cool at night. I know it was 47 when we got here on Friday night, and the temperature steadily dropped.
It was a little cold.
Some pretty neat sounds out in the night.
Yes.
Some that we didn't quite identify.
Yeah.
The high-pitched sound, I mean, it could have been a coyote.
Yeah, it just didn't quite sound like a coyote.
It didn't quite sound exactly like it, you know, but the woods do. Sometimes the acoustics play tricks on you.
Yeah.
So it is possible that that's what it was. But there was some other sounds that were surrounding it that were just interesting.
Right.
And the cows was pretty cool hearing them late into the night, because they're way down the road. You know, they were really disturbed. But no real signs of Bigfoot. Nothing that we could say we believe he was here, or, you know, on the flip side, just because there's not evidence doesn't mean that that is evidence that he's not here, you know. So a place that we're going to return to time and time again, because we do love it up here at Braley Pond.
It's nice.
And perhaps one of these times we'll encounter him.
Maybe.
But until next time, I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
Thanks for watching.